Hello and welcome to another episode of Reseller Information Network. We've done so many episodes now, I've lost count, to be honest. I know we're in the 70s. We're officially senior citizens in the reselling show.
I think this might be the big 7-0. I mean, I think this is 70, 7-0.
Yeah, we're not podcast professionals. We do a reselling show. Unlike all the other people out there, we are the only show here present. So Reseller Information Network, we do thank you guys for being here and being a part of our show. And so we are going to be talking today about something that's pretty near and dear to pretty much anybody who's ever been involved in reselling, and that is why resell, why get involved, why be a part, why stick around, why continue to do this journey of reselling. And we're going to be talking about that today and getting everybody's own opinion and thought as to why they're here. But before we do that, we do want to read some comments that we have in over the past couple of weeks. We do apologize for taking the week off last week, but we need a little R&R every now and then ourselves. So thank you guys for being here today. So I had a couple of things come through that we wanted to make mention of. Somebody just said good morning, but Ozark Treasure Hunter said the price of hardware never goes down, in reference to listing and loafing a couple weeks back with Leroy talking about selling hardware. It does sell in lots and otherwise. And then when we talked about the other day about risk versus reward and diving off into something new, Azcat Sue says, I ventured into men's ties, learning a ton, and feel and touch is everything.
All right. There we go.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We also, Sensible Treasure says, we found some petite princess items several times over the last few years, and they sold for crazy money. It was a learning experience, and now love finding these petite princess items. I'll have to check that out myself because I have not heard of that. Of course, Leroy probably does because he's in the pink red sale. He knows exactly what's going on.
No, that has to do with Tim's little dollhouse stuff.
Yeah, the dollhouse furniture. Petite princess items. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So,
ooh, I need to get some of that. I have some of that stuff that need to be listed.
There you go. All right. So the other thing we wanted to make mention of is our channel members. So we're going to turn it over to Tim. And there they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our channel members. AZ Katsu, Simply Shenanigans, Diane Matthews, our very own Blood, Sweat, and Cell Trash Cat Rescue, New England Betty Boop, Joe Neals, Old School Picker, Vintage Sport Flips, Charities, Terrific Lines, Kathleen the Bird Way Flipper, Ohio Pickers, Annette and Frank, Rudely Retro, Absolute Finds, Des Hardy, Heather Peddler, James Steinbreaker, Old Pass, High Plains Flipper, Walter Tilton, Black Sheep Society, Death Pile Picker, Mark Rowlands, Tracer J's Trading, Aaron Vaughn, Central Iowa Pickers, Wiggle Room 9, and Buck Mountain Bar.
Thank you guys so much. As always, you are very much appreciated to being a part of the channel membership. If you'd like to be a part of the channel membership, and you too get your names put in highlighter green and talked about by our own announcer of channel memberships, Tim, over the years. So we do thank each and every one of you guys, though, for being a part of that. And you can click down below if you'd like to join. It does have some perks come along with it. We're trying to release these videos actually out earlier for our channel members. So that's one of the things you can get, among some other hidden little things that we have to offer through One Stop Shop. So we do appreciate each and every one of you guys, and not just our channel members, but all of you guys who watch. So you can go back and watch previous episodes. on things. But today we'll dive into the subject of the day is a big why. And so we're going to kind of go around the horn and get a little how people got started and why. What was the reason for becoming a reseller? And we'll start with Leroy. I was waiting for him to swallow.
So, why? My why started about 19 years ago. No, 19 years ago, God. My why started when I was 19. And I've always had an addiction to yachts, flea markets. My dad used to bring us when we were teenagers. And then I started being able to go to myself to the flea markets. And I had a landscape business with about 45 accounts. And I would sell the older equipment at swap meets and stuff. And a guy was telling me, hey, you're wasting your time at the flea market. Come to this auto swap meet. There's thousands of vendors, yada, yada, yada. So I went and slept in the van and shower for 3 days and went home with like $2,400. And I was happy as me because I was able to buy another piece of machinery for my business. And so that's sort of how and why. And now it's, mainly a lot of it is these guys. These guys, I've been connected with these guys for, I'm going to get emotional right now. I've been connected with these guys for about 3 or 4 years now, and maybe more. And these guys are a driving force in my life. You guys don't know the backside of communication, but it's very, very important. This why of community, there's a community, a huge community, but my small community with these guys means more to me than a lot of things in my life. So that's my why. It's, being able to find stuff and show stuff to these guys. And I message them at 7 a.m. and they don't answer. And Tim is answering the phone because he's driving his wife to the train. And then Cernoch's still sleeping. Eric says he's awake, but I don't believe any of that. But I really appreciate just being in this community. And why not? And then why stop? I don't want to stop. I've had bad days. Sometimes you get good days, but that's any business. So that's my little nutshell.
All right, Cernoch, why did you get started in reselling?
I have a funny thing. It's not what I usually say to people, or like I say this as a joke, but it is. You know why I resell? Because I don't want to have to ask another grown man to use the bathroom. Okay, that's the thing. That's kind of like the like you want to get real about it. That's the real and it kind of like kind of shows what a lot of people in the workforce have to deal with, and then just dealing with that day in day out stuff. That comes along with every other job. That's everything else besides working. That's why I resell, because I hated that aspect of every single job. You had a bureaucracy. You had a this. You had make sure you do this, and it always felt like the more work you do, it's like okay. Especially when you're a salary job, coming from the restaurant industry, I've broken my feet. My feet are broken. Okay. My ankles hurt every day, so it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want my own business. I want to put in my own time. And why? It's because it's my lifestyle design. Y'all have heard me say this over and over. It's lifestyle design. I want to design my life that benefits me. If I want to be able to go to karate practice or a wrestling tournament, or I can do that. So it gives you that freedom. That the freedom is why, basically, for me.
All right, Tim.
Well,
How did you get out?
Well, for me, I've told this story a few times. So, I like Leroy. It's kind of like in my blood. Both my mom and my dad were collectors slash dealers. So, I was setting up at the flea market selling sports cards when I was like 8, 9 years old. And then I kind of, just I fell out of it for, when I got older and stuff like that, as far as like, yard sales and flea markets and selling and stuff like that and collecting. Then when my mom got fibromyalgia, she couldn't move around as much anymore. And she had a whole bunch of stuff that she had been collecting over the years. And that's where the name came from, because it was started off as just stuff that my mom had accumulated over the years. And so she was like, I need you to help me get rid of this. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, where do we start? And so I started like looking at some of the stuff, and I had some like knowledge about some of these things, like just from being around it for so many years as a when I was younger, like Wedgwood and Fenton and stuff like that. And so I started doing a little research, and I realized at that point in time that Etsy was the best place to kind of sell this stuff for my mom. At that, I guess that was 6 years ago, something like that. And so I started doing that, and it was like a slow roll sort of thing. And then I started I found, like, how can I make more money? How can I like turn up the business? And I was like, I should start a YouTube channel and make people buy my stuff from YouTube. And so then when I did that, I started finding other stuff on YouTube. And I realized like there was an entire like market, like people were buying this stuff. So next thing you know, I started like going to the thrift stores and selling my own stuff along with my mom's stuff. And it became like instant. I was just like, oh my God, because I've always wanted to work for myself, like that's always been my goal. Like my end goal is always wanted to work for myself. Like I've been side hustling stuff my entire life. Like that's just what I am. I'm like a natural born hustler. You know what I'm saying? And so then the ball just continued to roll, and I started learning more about other reselling avenues. I started meeting new people through the world of YouTube. Like if it wasn't for Cernoch, I probably would have never ever like really gotten into clothes, so like I got into clothes because of Cernoch. I learned everything I know about vintage clothes, about hats, about clothes in general from Cernoch. So, some people say the whole YouTube thing, but it's it's always going to be a little dicey. Like you got to be careful who you're listening to, obviously, and you have to do your own research once you get an idea from somebody else. Oh, that hurt. Oh, ow, sorry.
Man down.
So you have to do your own research afterwards, otherwise you'll get caught selling Beanie Babies and whatnot. But yeah, I learned a lot. And then like the big turning point was when I realized that people would buy remote controls. That's when 1320 mic drop. That's what I realized, like, okay, this is like crazy. This is serious. Like if people are buying remote controls, then I can make some serious money. And at the time I was doing a lot. Like I was doing YouTube. I was working a job full time. I was, reselling basically full time, and it was like crazy. And my job, the last job I had before I went full time was the restaurant industry, similar to Cernoch. And for those people that know about the restaurant industry, they understand. For other people, they don't. A lot of people who've never worked in the restaurant industry have no idea how demanding that job is, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like you have to literally have the thickest skin. You have to turn off all your emotions because people are nasty. And like the physical toll, like when you work a double and you're like, when I came home from work, Josie was working, my wife now, Josie was working during the day and I was working at night. And it was just like, like by the time I got home from work, I was ready to go to sleep because I had been working, like crazy hours. And so like the owner of the restaurant I was working at ended up being like, a very good friend of mine over time. He convinced me. He was like, you need to just do this like full time. He was like I start everything I've done. Like he owns a wine company and the restaurant stuff like that. He's like everything I've ever done. Like I had to go out and do myself too. Like like I didn't. He was kind of very similar to me, and so like he encouraged me to do it. So I talked it over with my wife, and then next thing you know, here I am now full time for this is my 4th year of full time reselling. So that's kind of like how it all happened and why it happened is it just happened like really weird because my mom asked me to sell some stuff for her, and then next thing you know, like this is it. I'm a reseller now. I never in a million years ever would have thought that this is where I would be at the age of 40. Never in a million years. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, that's why I started reselling.
Yeah. So for me, when my thing is I've worked for myself so much and had my own Subway for a little while, like did that. I really haven't had a boss for like 15 years at this point, other than myself. So it's just another way for me to work for myself. So then your effort a lot of times equates out to your paycheck versus depending on like what Cernoch says, like you gotta talk to someone, hey, can I get a quarter raise? Like 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 really when you start thinking about that stuff and then you for me, the reselling bug really was, and I've told this story a bunch as well, but just finding something at a garage sale that was worth so much. And looking at when I've found all these action figures in that tote, like I was dabbling in the reselling world a little bit. And then like when I found all those action figures, like got those totes, loads of those. If you go back and watch Obxpicker in the beginning and me in a little bedroom, like we're almost full circle. I'm back in a bedroom right now, but I've got a monster shed out there that I'm just not working out of other than storage. But when I go in and look at those things and I found one figure that paid for everything that I bought that day and made a few $1,000 off of those figures, they're selling every day. And then it's like, now you're hooked and now you're in. And we all, I mean, the one thing about working for yourself, it is dependent on your effort, regardless what people say about Chicken Little, the sky's falling all the time. Like we know eBay, it doesn't turn the switch off. Like, I mean, occasionally it gets slower and we don't really understand or know why. But I always say that whole stuff about control what you can control. Like, we can't control what other things happen. We can control what we do. And so, for me, when I got involved in that and realized that, hey, I can sell a couple things a day and make more than what most people make, going through their 9 to 5 situation. So it's just, an ever evolving situation. I've done part-time, I've done full-time. Now, things are shifting again for me to a degree. So I'm trying to just streamline my process, but why do it? Why not? Like, I mean, it's another way to make money. And it honestly, if you enjoy it, I don't enjoy every aspect of it. I'll just be honest. I don't. But finding the treasure, man, is one of those things. And then the other satisfaction is like when you can bring something back from the dead. Like we do in the hats and stuff. Like Cernoch has, we're just the Padawans. Like we've learned along the way. But like to see that you could take a hat that is like roached and trashed and sell that thing for $50 or $60 after you get it cleaned up and nice looking. It's one of those things where those items would end up in the trash, and now you're kind of recycling things back into the world. So, for me, that's a big part of it as well. But as far as my why, I guess it's, it is kind of a mixture of all these guys. Like, I don't want to be working for the man. I want to work for myself. And for two, like, the whole idea of being able to be your own boss and kind of set your own hours. And if I need to take off for the day, then, hey, it's on me. Now, if you go taking off every day, that comes home to roost as well. So we got to keep that in mind. So when we think about why, I know we've kind of all encompassed a little bit as to why we got started. but what's the thing that kind of keeps you going on the day to day? Because I know one of the things we always get, one of the questions we always hear from, how do you stay motivated? For me, we know, there's some basic needs that you got to take care of, right? So for me, I was like, you still got to lift that fork, bro. And it's better if there's something on it. So that's a simple one. But Leroy, what's the thing that keeps you motivated, bro?
Oh, I'm motivated.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was motivated. Nobody told me this. This wasn't in the storyline. It's the goodness, I gotta do this. Sorry. It's always the part where people say you can't, and being someone that the education is not that great, and being able to talk to my computer and my computer does the typing for me, and people that I know have a great education and they're at McDonald's and they're making a quarter of what I'm making and I'm hustling my tail off. That keeps me motivated so much you wouldn't believe, because a lot of people that are so much smarter than me educationally, not mentally, or I'm very smart. I don't like to say it, but I'm very smart, but just educationally I have a flaw. And being able to still do something like this and have the floor that I have, you guys have no idea how bad my floor is. Like, none of you guys have any clue. I could tell you stories and you still wouldn't get it. I'll put it to you this way in a simple little basket. Anything over a 5-letter word I can't spell, or anything over a 6 or 7-letter word I can't read. So it's hard for me to, I go to other jobs and I fake it. I fake it until I have to back myself out of a hole. Nowadays, people say, "Oh, it's okay. We got your back," and they don't got your back. I've had $100,000 a year job, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. I make a quarter of that now, but I'm happier. Being able to teach other people, and like Cernoch said, you got to make an excuse because your back hurts, because your back hurt last week. So, that all that is a driving factor. And there is nobody on this panel or nobody that you've met or you watch on YouTube that when they get that cha-ching or they get that sale that's 800 times what they paid for something, there ain't nobody that don't get excited about that. Nobody does this because they're bored. Because they
want to turn my ringer off at night because I'll be waking up like, what is up?
Yeah. So the drive for everybody is different, but the drive for me is very personal. It's very, very personal. Never really got in this deep, but you guys all know I have issues. But it's for me. I never thought that I'd be in this position. Quick story, and then I'll drop off. When I joined my church, I serve, and I've always told myself, oh, well, you're just going to be a parking lot attendant or security, just watching a door somewhere. And God has things for you. I don't mean to get spiritual on you guys, but God has things for you that you have no idea that you would ever even be in that spot. I never thought that I would be sitting down typing in a computer. I never thought that I'd be doing video coloring for a mega church. I wanted to be in a parking lot, but that's not always whatever you believe in. That's not always what really is there for you. So I'm done.
All right, refresh the question because I'm
sorry for that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
What's the thing that keeps you motivated?
That's right. All right. Well, my kids keep me motivated, and it's a really cool thing. It's like, when I was at the restaurant, I missed everything my kids were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like I like Saturday function. Yeah, out the door. You know what I'm saying? Like Saturday, that was a thing. Like anything going on Saturday, I had to miss.
Friday night.
And a lot of times I was working the late shifts too. So anything in the afternoon, I couldn't go to. Okay. And again, having to explain that to your boss, like, oh, my kid's got a soccer game today. Oh, okay. Like, they don't care, that your kid has a soccer game. Like, well, you're working. I don't care, And so, a lot of that type stuff, and it just keeps me going. Just thinking back to those times, where I got frustrated, where I got divorced, basically, what I'm saying? Because I was never there. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm bringing them, in my mind, I was thinking I'm bringing home the money. So that's all good. But I was never there because I was working all the time. So I didn't get to see any of my kids' stuff. So that resulted in, a relationship loss, and all those things. But what keeps me going is I have found a groove that I'm good at. I feel like I'm really good at doing this. So that keeps me going. Just the excitement of, man, what can I find? I brag about us where it's like, hey, give us $150 and drop us in nowhere land, USA. We find stuff. Okay, we're gonna find stuff. Okay, trust me. So that keeps me going. The hunt and just the excitement. And I've kind of like turned myself, as much as I get excited about finding cool stuff, I'm getting excited again about selling that stuff as well. And so that's what kind of keeps me going as well, where it's like, I know I pick out awesome stuff. I want to sell awesome stuff and show like, hey, my ideas, my everything, I can sell it and I can do a better job at selling it than most people as well. And that may come off pompous or like a little braggy, but again, I had a quote, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, and I love this quote, and I'm kind of using it more. It's like, surround yourself with people when you talk about an exciting event or like in reselling, an exciting sale, it doesn't come off as bragging. You know what I'm saying? And I think like with us, we can kind of do that where it's not like, hey, bro, look at this. I sold a $600 porcelain bear. You're like, what? And it's like, but when I tell the story, it makes sense because we have done this so many years that we can walk in and go, this is something. This might be something, like out of my wheelhouse, like the books. Even though I don't do books, I knew the signs to go, you know what? This is a pickup. This is going to earn me money. This is a pickup. I've done this enough times to know that this is something at a low enough cost that I can purchase it. It's not going to hurt me, and I'm going to sell it for way, way, way more. So that's kind of why I keep doing it, because I've established myself as a person that can do these things. So why stop now? I'm just getting good at it,
Yeah, there you go. Tim, what's the thing that keeps you going?
It's interesting because it's kind of like combination of what Leroy and Cernoch said. Like the first thing that Leroy said is really important to me too, because a lot of my life everybody's always told me that I can't do something, and for me it's not necessarily about proving people wrong. It's more about proving things right to myself. If that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, like it's just my generation is a little different too, because like I'm kind of like in this cross generation of like you go to college and then, like the back end of my generation is kind of like a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But like, I could have gone in many different paths in my life, but I have no regrets going down this path. And I think that for me, like a lot of it has to do with knowing, like getting to the point where I am satisfied with what I have built. Building something on your own from the ground up too is one of the most rewarding things in life, I think. And so like for me, like, you know, whenever I was working a regular job, right, like I would get frustrated if there was no room for growth, or if I was busting my butt and there was no promotion, there was no raise. You know what I'm saying? Like in this industry and doing what we do, there's always a level up. And it's not necessarily just about the money. It's about the freedom, you know, to kind of circle back to what Cernoch was talking about earlier. But like, you know, I want to be, I always, there's always something I could be doing better. And for me, that keeps me going because it challenges me. It gives me another challenge. Like, okay, like it's so difficult to do what we do. There's no other way around it. Anybody else wants to tell you anything, that's fine. But it's so difficult because, you know, it's kind of like working in a restaurant and being a server, right? Where it's like, I'm getting like $4 an hour. If nobody comes to the restaurant to eat that night, if I don't get tables, I'm not going to get paid any money.
And you know what, to say that your little analogy, it's not only that, it's about you as a server putting in the work to earn those tips. A lot of people kind of think about, oh, reselling, I can do that. But then they get down to it. Well, I don't know what to get. I don't know what to this and this and this. It's kind of like serving. Oh, I can wait tables. Yeah, but you can wait tables, but can you wait tables great?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like where you can make money doing it. The same thing with reselling. Can you resell good enough? Everyone can resell, but can you resell good enough to make it?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too, is because I feel like it's such a growth process, right? And you know, like for me too, like I'm coming from my sobriety also, where it's like, you know, like every day is a step, every day is a process in your future. So like for me, it's just like that's what keeps me going is I'm hungry. Like I want to be the best reseller in the world. I want to be the best YouTuber in the world. I want to be the best person in the world. I want to be the best businessman in the world. I want to be the best husband. I want to be the best son. So like, if you want to be the best, you have to put in the work. And for me, like, it's so hard and it's so difficult. And there's days you want to give up, but then I look at it and I'm like, if I can't, you can't just stop reselling if you're a full-time reseller and your life depends on it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm not going to resell for a week. I mean, you could, but like it's difficult. So those are some of the things that keep me motivated and keep me going and pushing me to just kind of keep leveling up and learning. I'm a sucker for knowledge. So every day it's something where it gives, you're presented with an opportunity to learn something new, whether you choose to or you're being forced to. So for me, that's the level of excitement on the work side. And then obviously just the treasure hunt. I mean, you wake up in the morning and you think about treasure hunts and you think about selling stuff, and you know, it's just all the other stuff that comes along with it that you have to find ways of that to motivate you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine will be just a little bit different because, you know, these guys know, and most of you guys watching know that obviously I just got home from India. So when you go to other places and see the lack of opportunity, you know, it does kind of change your perspective about things that you have and opportunities you have. You know, like the bottom line is most people do just want to have something handed to them and say like, man, you know, we all I'm sure have dreamed at times about like, man, if I hit $1 million, if I, you know, like we think about those things, but the reality of it is we have an opportunity. Yeah, you do have, you know, the ability, even despite, like, I mean, Leroy very open and sharing his struggles with some of that stuff. Even with that, there's still an opportunity. There's still an ability, and there's not many things that you can do in life where it's like it's totally dependent on you. Like literally, it's dependent on, hey, yeah, like it's an ever growing, you've got to be growing your knowledge about what you're doing. You've got to be efficient in the way that you do these things. There is things to learn from other people, and not, I've always made that statement that learners are earners, like, because the more you know, like the more you, like, we think about all of us just in the length of the time we've all known each other, just the levels that we're seeing different than what we used to before. And some of that, like for me, that has helped me along the way is because, over the years, I've interviewed a ton of resellers, like not only just with us as a group, but also back in the day when I was doing the Friday night show. And just like, so it was so crazy for me because I used to do a Friday night show. So every Friday I'm interviewing a new reseller and they're talking about a niche or something that they're involved in.
And
You know what happens to me every Saturday morning? I'm out there like, dude, I gotta find some of this. Like, But as a result of that, what happened was my knowledge base has grown a ton. So now, like, there's things that most people would get discouraged about. Like when I go picking, like, because we go to some of these long yard sales or events, or even on a Saturday, I'll just be honest. If I've drove to an estate sale, dude, I will not leave there empty handed. I promise you. I say, I'm going to find something. It may be something I've never dealt with in my life. But I was like, you know what? I've drove to get here. I've spent my time, my effort, and my gas. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a little leap of faith and reach out here and try to get a hold of something different than what I normally would. And then you pay for an education. Like you're going to learn about that. You may learn that, hey, don't pick that up no more. Or you may learn that, hey, I'm not interested in selling these, so I'm just going to unload them on somebody else who loves them. Because the cool thing you do find in reselling, though, is we all have the thing that we gravitate towards. I'll sell anything, myself, but there's there's things I'm more passionate about. Like, Cernoch has introduced me into the world of hats, but long before that, my grandfather was a hat guy. Like he wore a hat every day of his life. And, other than Sunday, he wouldn't wear one on Sunday to church. But the rest of the time, man, my granddad was always rocking old farm hats. Like that was the thing that he did. So for me, that was a natural gravitation. And then like, other things, vintage clothing, I've got into that, which I didn't used to care anything about. Electronics, like I've messed with that. Like a little bit of everything. But when we get down to what's the thing that drives you, keeps you going, it's like, man, the reality of it is we live in a place to where we have every opportunity that's given to us. And even at times when we're like, oh man, it's, whatever, the world's against me. They're like, man, look around. You've got an opportunity to buy stuff for cheap and sell it for more. And you don't have to be a big corporation, and you don't have to have 1 million employees, and you don't have to. And like the number of people I've interviewed over the years who have started with next to nothing and grew it. And that's the other thing, just like Tim was saying, you can grow it as big as you want. Like the opportunity's there to do so. The knowledge is the gap that you got to fill in. And then, it does take money to make money. We all know that. But you can start with, I don't know of another business. You can start with next to nothing and grow it to where you can sustain a full-time income. Like it's really one of those things that's pretty interesting to look at without gambling or those kind of things.
Right.
But yeah, it is fortunate, man. So for me, like one of the things that also drives me all the time is unlike a lot of people, some people get upset when people find stuff and they're not happy for them. They're like, oh, that guy probably faked that, or he didn't. Not me, dude. I'm fired up. Like if these guys send me a picture and say, hey, I found this, I sold it. All right, man, that's great. Like I'm going to be looking for that now too. That's the kind of stuff when Cernoch sends me that goofy bear, I was like, dude, what in the world? I'm going to start looking for them goofy bears myself. Like one of those things. Even Leroy got me out. I was looking at tool stuff.
I'll tell you one thing that for me is, where else can I eat all day? I can eat all day.
Well, and Leroy, I was thinking that while you were talking about it. If you have a regular job, 9 to 5, bro, there are some days, and me personally, I'm just going to say anecdotally, me personally, like there's some days that I don't want to do anything. Maybe the weather's changing, my bones are hurting. I don't want to do anything. If I had to go to work every day, or like sometimes you don't want to start your day early, or maybe some days you want to start your day early. It gives you that freedom to where you're not locked in to this, like, you have to do work between this time and this time. Where it's like, man, there's some mornings, man, you know what? It's nice to,
Yeah.
I'm gonna sleep in I'm gonna sleep in an extra hour and a half. You know why? Because tonight I might work an extra hour and a half. I might put on a football game and go, hey, let that play in the background. My team's not playing, but put that football game in the background just so I can listen to it. And I'll just, hey, got that going, or just some music. It gives you that's the thing. You can create your whole reselling world however you want it. Whereas at any kind of job, you're so constrained into these are the rules. Is that you have to do it this way or no way? Where as it's your business where it's like, hey, guess what? This week I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna take this entire week off and work on not listing, but maybe organizing. And you make the rules, and that's what I think is it's so great about it. But on the other hand, makes it so kind of intimidating to other people too, because maybe they don't have that mentality of I'm going to make my own sales. I'm going to make my own decisions versus, well, I like to be told what to do. There's a lot of people out there like that are very regimented that, hey, I need to go to work at 9 o'clock every morning and drive there and, have a routine. So, it's all about finding that.
So guys, if you could tell somebody in just like one brief statement, if they're like, man, you know what, I'm discouraged about this, like what would be your little just nugget of advice about like to keep going or to, I mean,
discouraged about reselling?
Yeah.
That's a tough
just one little nugget. An encouragement to keep going, to be motivated.
Encouragement to keep going. So they're kind of like they have.
I'm about to burn out and be done.
Well, there's a lady that found a $100,000 vase at a Goodwill in Virginia. So don't give up. You never know. you literally never know. I mean, like, listen, if you're going to give up, I can't save you. Okay? Like, that's on you. You have to be able to save yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think the best thing to tell somebody is it's okay to feel that way. I think that's the best part, the best advice you can get somebody. It's okay to feel that way. You would not be doing reselling right if at any point you've never felt like you're going to burn out. I think that's just a sign that you're doing things right. And it's a moment to reevaluate how you're doing things. And maybe that's the motivation. That's all the motivation you need. It's just to change things up. If you get to that point, just change things up. I've done it 3 or 4 times. I'm about to do it again. So I'm pretty sure everybody gets to that point. So don't give up. Unless you want to. If you want to give up, I'm not going to stop.
Here's mine. Here's my one word. Okay? It's going to be totally different than Tim's. Bye. Because you know what? At that point, no, but listen, at that point, this didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There had to be signs. Okay. Right. Now, and here's the thing. If you're a friend or you're a counterpart and you haven't asked for help, if you haven't done this, if you haven't said, hey, what would you do in this situation? If it comes to this climax where it's like this, because guess what? Nothing I've told you, nothing I've helped you with has worked. So do you see this, working in the future? If you can't create that, and if you haven't been able to create that, then I'm sorry. I mean, there's nothing I can do for you. Because I would have exhausted all those other things first before it even got to this. That's my thinking on it.
Leroy, what's your encouraging word?
There's always somebody that is beneath you in a certain category. Some people don't have the financial backing that you have, I have. Some people don't have the education that you have, that I have. Some people don't have the storage that you have, that I have. Some people can't source that you have, that I have. So stop making the excuses, because everybody is different, and just try harder. If you feel like you're failing, get your butt up and do it again. And I'm not just speaking to you guys, I'm speaking to myself.
So for me, obviously we've got across the board, but I'll just tell you, hey, if you need some motivation, come on by RIN. You can hang out with us on Tuesdays. If you are feeling discouraged, I guarantee you at all points we've all been that way, but don't quit without talking to somebody. That would be my thing. And like with us here on the panel, now here's the flip side of this, and this is what Cernoch I know is getting at the root of the heart of this thing. Dude, if I'm telling you and I've been successful and I know, and I'm telling you and you ain't listening and you ain't putting it in effect, I can't do nothing for you. You got to listen and then you got to do it. Like, it's funny. Like there's a biblical principle. It says, don't just be merely hearers, but doers, because otherwise you deceive yourself. And that's what a lot of people do is they listen, they know when you tell them, I know, but are you doing it? Because if you ain't doing it, it's not gonna work. That's just how
at least act like you listening. Goodness gracious.
I mean, there's plenty of folks that listen. I mean, I've listened to stuff too. But me too. The other side of it is I'm not afraid to try stuff. Like, I mean, if it's something new, I'll try it. Like, who knows? It may work. It may not.
I can't admit to that because
we know because One Stop Shop was still waiting for the debut of Mr. Blood, Sweat, and Cell. But he has an appointment with Ivan. Hey guys, if you're listening to this today and Blood, Sweat, and Cell on Instagram, just send him a message and say, just do it, Leroy. Just come on over.
Don't send me a message on Instagram. Do not send me a message on Instagram. I will send boxes of screws to your house. I will find every one of you guys, and I will
come on out to the One Stop Shop, Leroy. Come on in. The water's fine.
Right.
Come on.
To kind of add to what you were saying too, Eric, about the whole thing, about if you made it this far, there's nothing else we can do. I think a lot of resellers in that beat. Okay, and I'm not saying this to be like, I'm not talking about anybody in particular or anything like that. But I think a lot of new resellers get into that habit of, well, hey, I'm just going to ask so-and-so. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to jump into this Facebook group and say, hey, what is this, guys? What do you think this is worth? I think once you graduate past that level, I think you're on your way to success. Where a lot of people don't understand that, but it's like you have to be able to go, like, you have to have confidence in yourself to be like, hey, I'm gonna walk into this thrift shop without my phone. And I'm gonna pick up items that I know will sell for a low enough cost. I've already got it up in my head. And that's a good exercise even for some seasoned resellers. Go in there without your phone. See if you can buy low enough to take a chance on something, And again, we've talked about, adapting and if something's not working for you, again, if something is not working for you, why keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? If your items aren't selling, maybe you look at your items and go, maybe this is the reason my items aren't selling. They're not in demand. They're not, so it's all those things where it's like, again, it's hard to tell someone, hey, hang in there when you're like, you haven't done anything I've told you. So, those are the things that, I just wanted to add on to that.
So guys, if you're here listening, you need some motivation, come on by. Hey, if you need something to do while you're in the midst of your working, go back and listen to the binge series through RIN, and you can follow our journeys. Sometimes we're down and we have to motivate ourselves or each other. Sometimes we're riding high, and it's a journey. it's one step at a time, one day at a time. Just keep moving forward. We do thank each and every one of you guys for being here, and we are looking forward to hearing some success stories coming from you guys. So feel free to drop them in the comments. We thank you guys for hanging out. We're gonna let these guys say their goodbyes. Cernoch.
Yeah, just hang it. Like I said, hang in there. If you're having second thoughts, hang in there. Think about why you started. Just think about what we all talked about. Why did you start? What continued to motivate you to continue to do this? And if you are at that crossroads, how can you make it better? So hopefully if you learned something, yes, definitely leave your comments down below. We want to hear those success stories. We want to hear your why you do it. So in the comments, put why you do it, what keeps you going, and what would you tell somebody, that wants to quit, or if you have any, helpful advice. So put that down in the comments below, and yeah, keep going, keep hustling.
Leroy, before you get out.
Oh, I'm on, what do you call it? I ain't got nothing to say because I've said enough. These guys say enough every week. We talk every week to you guys. So, if somebody tells you something and you ask somebody something, if I say, hey, Cernoch, why shouldn't I get blue shoes? And Cernoch says, hey, listen, Leroy, here's the reason they don't sell well. I've sold a ton of them. I can't sell them. And then you go and get blue shoes and throw it in my face. And when I asked you not to get blue shoes, don't do it. Like, I know it makes no sense what I'm saying, guys, but like, if you ask somebody an opinion in this area, just listen to what they say. Or act like you're listening. Just act like you're listening. That's it. Like, don't go and say, oh, well, Leroy told me that I should sell blue shoes. Leroy sells tools. He don't know nothing about blue shoes.
Just talk to Elvis about that one. Blue shoes.
Anyway.
Tim, take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys as always for all the love and all the support. We are super excited for a lot of things that are going to be coming soon, not only to Resell Information Network, but to One Stop Shop. Make sure you guys are heading over to the One Stop Shop, become a member, drop some comments. We will be doing the town hall soon, so stay tuned for that. Please, like Cernoch said, drop some comments on these videos. And I feel like we really need to emphasize this because I don't feel like there's a lot of friends telling friends about, RIN going on. So let's reiterate the fact. The most important thing of this entire show is don't forget to tell a friend about RIN, Reseller Information Network. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop.